Welcome back to the DSS break. It's great to have you here with us today. I'm Anna Annison, the founder of Data Science Salon, and today I'm streaming directly from our headquarters, which is beautifully located in the heart of Miami, just a few blocks from the design district. And we're here live every other week to discuss the world of data science, AI, and machine learning. And we chat about unique experiences and best practices with leading data science professionals in a 15-minute break. And today I'm really excited to be joined by Jinal Mehta, a seasoned data engineer with over 8 years of global experience spanning in India, Canada, and now in the US. And she's now in Seattle. And Jinal works on Amazon's AIR team, where she architects scalable data solutions and powers intelligent decision-making with machine learning-driven supply chain analytics, which is super interesting. And she's not only a data powerhouse, but also an active community mentor, an interview coach, and an advocate for growing the next generation of data professionals. And today we're going to chat about her work in designing scalable data architectures and lessons learned from her past projects, a supply chain architecture case study that she'll be presenting at DSS Seattle on April 16th, and it's actually a free virtual event. Tyler from my team will share it in the comments sections. Don't miss it. So welcome, Jinal. It's great to have you here with us.
Thank you so much, Anna, for having me here. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and dive right in. Before we go into everything that we just talked about, can you please give me a little bit about your journey and how you ended up in data engineering in the first place?
Sure, I love sharing my journey. It's a diverse path that led me to data engineering. I began my journey in India. I have 3 years of work experience working as a data analyst, and then I took a big leap in my life. I moved to United States to pursue my master's in IT. And while I was doing my master's course, I was able to secure three data analyst internships, data analyst and a marketing analyst. Definitely it was very challenging coming to USA, understanding the different education system, culture. Um, and after my graduation, I was actually exploring two opportunities, which was either data scientist or data engineering. And I got an opportunity with Amazon data engineering team. I spent intense 3 weeks studying about interview, and this was right before the COVID in 2019. So it was an on-site interview. It was amazing experience in itself. Uh, but yeah, that was how I ended up in data engineering role. It's been 6 years now. Great experience, great journey. Yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, no, I think that's great that you ended up in that journey or in that path, because I feel like now with the whole Gen AI boom, that is like a very important skill set, right, to have.
Exactly. So when I started as a data engineer in 2019, it was not very popular, but it has started gaining its popularity from past couple of years because of Gen AI, LLM, machine learning things coming up, new revolution.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting. And well,
Yeah.
let's dive right in. And can you tell me a little bit about your current role at Amazon? It looks like you've been there for a while, so you probably have some really amazing stories to share. What is exactly the AIR team? What do you guys focus on?
Sure. So I work for Amazon AI data engineering team, and it's quite fascinating in this role because we are closely integrated with all the teams, which is business intelligence engineer, machine learning data scientist, and whatever work we do has a direct business impact on the supply chain operations. Uh, if I have to give you an example, our team owns and builds the entire infrastructure that handles multiple data coming in. So we process that data and pass on those informations for our downstream users to make those business decisions. This decisions will be like direct impact on the logistics. Let's say if any customer is ordering anything on Amazon, from that point onwards till the delivery of a packet to that customer. So how do we make sure that the customer experience is at the top priority? They get the data, not the data, sorry, the packet that they have ordered on time very smoothly. So that's how we manage the data.
That's very important because especially for people like me that I get a lot of packages from Amazon. Yeah, exactly. And I know that you've worked across like three different countries, which is really amazing. How has that shaped your approach to collaboration and the data engineering challenges that we see?
Sure. Amazing experience. I got to learn so many things. I started my journey from India, where I spent 3 years working as an analyst. So basically, I learned how to dealt with the data in the real time world, because this was just my start of my career. So it was very interesting to at least understand the real time problem and what are the creative solutions that senior people build around me, the way they think. Moving to USA was such a huge transition. Definitely understanding what I observed particularly for the US team is they focuses more on innovation and technologies rather than pushing everything on implementation. They take time to build the solutions, no matter what time, but they spend time on innovative solutions. And I spent nearly 1.5 year in Canada. Amazing experience, again adding another dimension layer to my professional journey. Very much value addition to my journey, because that gave me completely different perspective when I worked in different settings. Canadian team focuses more on team bonding activities and emphasizing more on work culture. So that actually helped me on the collaboration. Overall, as a data engineer working at 3 different countries, what I learned was technical solution is not the only important thing, but how do we collaborate, how do we communicate, and how, because data engineering team interacts with non-technical team members too, and it is very important for them to explain those technical things in non-technical manner.
Yes, well, no, 100%. Like, I feel like if you can't explain that, then the business is not going to work, right? So,
Absolutely.
and I know that you're going to be sharing a very interesting case study at Data Science Salon Seattle, which is going to be virtual, and it's going to be about transforming the supply chain analytics, which is again very important to get those packages on time. Can you give us a sneak peek into what made this project particularly complex and
Mhm.
how you approached it? But don't give everything away because we definitely want people to come and see your talk.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question. So we started with a very simple project, a very straightforward implementation where we dealt with external vendors to get the data. Interesting problem started when it scaled up. So when we had multiple vendors, how do we dealt with that? In a layman terms, just imagine like a multi-stream traffic trying to be on the highway. Each stream has their own vehicles running at a different speed, running at a different time. We want to avoid that bottleneck on the highway. So that's the same thing we deal with the data perspective. And I'm going to share how do we think through when such problem comes, and even before the problem comes, what are the things that we should consider before developing such solutions.
Cool. No, I'm really excited to see that. And the way you explained it, that's really a great way to explain it. Really,
Thank you.
that actually makes sense for a person that's not technical. It doesn't work with us. So thank you for doing that, for explaining it so simply. And
Sure.
what are some of the best practices you follow when designing these data pipelines? I know you're going to be sharing more, but maybe just you could maybe share one or two
Mhm.
best practices that people should think about because I'm sure there's especially for the enterprise use cases like Amazon. That's I'm sure there's a few things.
Sure. So, through my experience, especially at Amazon, when we dealt with large scale data, it is very important to spend time in thorough data modeling, understanding the data modelings, architecture planning, or with what data are you dealing with, what is the volume of the data, how are you going to get the data, what is the mode of data. So, understanding the data itself is a huge thing. And to implement the best practices, spend more time to know your business requirement, and don't just go dive into like rushing into implementing those solutions, right? Second thing we focuses is on alert mechanism, logging system. How do we avoid the errors? How do we do multiple retries? And what are the critical points in the pipeline that we should be implementing those checkpoints? Another thing is maintainability, performance, and scalability. Performance wise, we want to make sure, especially during the peak season, October, November, December, Prime Day, holidays, Christmas, we want to make sure that whenever there is a huge volume of data rushing through our system, how do we make sure the performance is not impacted? How do we make sure it is scaled up when new things get added up in our infrastructure? Last but not the least, very important, is security.
Yeah.
How do we secure the data? By ensuring we give the right permissions, by masking the data, not sharing any confidential information. So we put security at the highest priority when we design those solutions. These are the few best practices or the learnings throughout my journey.
Oh, no, thank you so much for sharing those great answers. And now let's talk a little bit about hiring. As somebody deeply involved in Amazon's hiring process, what are some traits or skills that you're consistently looking for in like high performing data engineering candidates? Because I'm sure we have quite a few of those listening right now.
Sure. Mainly we focuses on the core concepts. We are not too much into technologies or tools, whether a person is aware to know like how to use AWS services. But what we actually look is, do they know where to apply those data models? How do we solve those simple business use cases, not complicating much infrastructure point of view, right? We can use Python or Scala, anything we can use, but that's not important. How do we solve the problem? Another thing that we look at it is communication. As I said, data engineering team works with non-technical team members too. So it's very important to understand business requirement. Um, how do we convert those business requirements into the innovative solutions? So thinking out of the box, uh, thinking more about solving the problem rather than which tools to use to solve the problem
All
is
right,
what.
no, that's a great answer.
Yeah, yeah. So the focus is on that. These are the few things that we look in a candidate when we hire. For example, if I have to say, write a simple SQL syntax, right? That's not enough. But how that SQL is optimized, and can be used in our different applications is
Right.
what.
And I think now with like Chat GPT and all these tools, like you could get anything done, right? Like, so
Exactly.
I feel like that is really more about those actual corporate understanding the stuff, right? And communicating it versus the coding it in.
Correct, correct. Especially like when we have to coming back to Gen AI, I think this is very popular in the industry these days. Even a lot of companies are investing. So when we have to talk about Gen AI LLM models, uh, we have to scale up those infrastructure, and that's where human intervention comes in. That's where the thought process comes into the picture.
Yep. Awesome. No, thank you so much. That's a great answer. And I know that you're also an active mentor, and thank you so much for doing that. And what is one piece of advice that you frequently give aspiring data engineers or those preparing for interviews or wanting or that are curious about the space in general?
Sure. I always tell my mentees that focus on core concepts, focus on your fundamentals. There might be very simple question like, what is the difference between primary key and foreign key? So don't explain like a book knowledge, but explain through a real-time problem. Don't give same examples like student manager examples, but give some different examples which are not regular for the interviewers. Another thing that I focus is on like always ask three questions when you prepare for the interview: what I did, how I did, and what value am I bringing to the business. It need not have to be always tangible impact. It can be intangible impact too, meaning streamlining the processes or making active participation in code review that will help other candidates. So I will give those few tips to all my mentees.
Cool. No, those are great tips. Thank you so much for sharing. And the last question I have for you,
Mhm.
what are some like misconceptions that people have about the role of a data engineer? And especially maybe now even machine learning data engineer, because I feel like that's like the newest role that's coming out
Yeah,
these days.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you asked that question. So, one misconception is like data engineering is all about ETL pipeline development and integration. But I would say it is more than that. It's about infrastructure, it's about security, it's about how do you want to. I will emphasize more on scalability because in every real time problem, initially scalability is never the point that we think about, but over the period of a time, that is a biggest concern that we face. And this is not like one time problem. I have seen multiple problems across the industry. So I would say focus more on rather than being expert on the tool, just be expert in your fundamentals, be expert on thinking how you will solve the problem. Instead of creating ETL pipelines, think how you will build the architecture, how you will come up with the innovative solutions for those problems. And also, I would say like misconception is like it's all only technical role. No, it's not just technical role. It's also non-technical role where we have to also understand like, are we creating any business impact? Are we doing something that is going to help the organization? So it's not just creating ETL pipeline where data flows from one end to another end, but just try to understand how this data is used by the downstream users. And is there anything better you can do for those downstream users?
Yeah, no, that's an amazing answer. And thank you so much for joining us today, Jinal. Your insights on building scalable data infrastructure and your passion for mentoring really stood out. And thank you so much for sharing all that useful information. And for everybody that tuned in, don't forget to catch Jinal's full session on April 16th at DSS Seattle, which is completely free and virtual. Thank you to our sponsors, OrangoDB and Single Store, for supporting us. And grab your spot at datascience.salon.slash Seattle, and we'll share the link and we'll see you there. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day and week. And Jinal, I look forward to seeing you at the event.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you for everyone joining this session. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.